Thank you all so much for coming out on this Saturday morning, spending a nice fallish day here with us. We appreciate it. My name is Catherine Decker. I'm chair of the Campbell County Republican Committee, and it is the Campbell County Republican Committee that is hosting this forum this morning. We are so grateful for all of our local contested candidates that have graciously agreed to come out here on a Saturday morning, spend their time with us, answering your questions, letting you get to know them better, hearing the concerns that are on your all's mind. If we can just give a brief round of applause for all of our candidates. So if I can ask you all to go ahead and stand, we're going to open with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If you could remain standing, we'll have a brief moment of silence in respect and honor of Charlie Kirk's assassination this week, and then I'll open us in a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we just come before you humbly and gratefully this morning. Thank you that we do live in a free country, that we're able to come here and assemble together. This has been a week of much heartache and grief, of assassination of Charlie Kirk, of the hate and violence that our country is coming to, remembering 24th anniversary of 9/11. We just ask that you bring a revival to our country and we heal it. It's the only path forward. And we just ask that you turn the hearts and minds of our fellow citizens towards you, that they would recognize you as Savior and Lord, and that we might see revival in our country again, that we would return to our founding roots. We thank you for all the individuals who have come out here this morning to hear from the candidates, our candidates coming out, and we ask that you just bless this time together. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, our moderator this morning is our Concord Board of Supervisor, Matt Klein. I'm going to turn the mic over to him. He'll briefly explain the format of the questions with the candidates, and then we'll move into hearing from the candidates.
Thank you, Chairman Decker. So, candidates, during the meeting, you should direct your answers from the questions either to the audience or to the moderator. There should be no interruptions as other candidates are speaking, and there will be no rebuttal time given regardless of the responses. I do also ask the audience, out of respect for all candidates and time, that we keep applause to a minimum, so everyone has the opportunity to speak. Opening statements are going to be 3 minutes long. Answers to questions will be 1 minute. Closing statement by each candidate will be 1.5 minutes. You'll be a warning from the timekeeper across the way. You'll be given a 20-second notification for any questions, a 1-minute notification for opening statement, and then a red indication, which is stop. And I will, and in case you don't see the red, I will vocally help you with that. I will do my best to make sure that each candidate has equal time to speak. So just know that if you're skipped around a little bit, I will do my best to work back to you. So we're going to start with our opening statements. If the timekeeper is ready. Thank you, Claude. We're going to start with our opening statements, and I'm just going to start left to right. We'll start with Mr. Hardy. Remember that each person has 3 minutes, and please watch the timekeeper as you get close to the end of your time, and also know that you're not required to use all 3 minutes if you choose to end early. Thank you. You may start, Mr. Hardy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Good morning. My name is John Hardy, and I am your Rustburg supervisor currently, and I'm really honored to be here today, so I want to thank the Campbell County Republican Committee for putting on this event. I am a husband and father and a Christian, and my wife and I have been married for over 24 years. She is from Campbell County, and together we've been blessed with 3 wonderful children, Kate, Jason, and Ellie, that God has graced us with. And our family worships at Highland Heights Baptist Church. And like so many of you in this community, we don't just live here. This is where our roots are. Nearly 30 years ago, I began my high school career as a teacher at Rustburg High School, where I also coached basketball and soccer. And for the past 17 years, I have been honored to be the principal at the Campbell County Technical Center. That is what I do professionally, where I work to help students gain the vocational and technical skills and certifications, along with building their confidence that they need to have success in the workplace and in the real world. And that is a humbling and honoring experience every single day to serve our community. And I love that profession. For the past 8 years, I've had the privilege of serving as your supervisor. And in that role, I've fought to protect our quality of life, which we all cherish. I've stood up against the Region 2000 landfill expansion twice, and I've worked to bring in positive investments like broadband access, new businesses, school construction and renovation, and stronger support for law enforcement, public safety, our farmers, and small businesses. And we've done all of that while lowering tax rates for families and businesses. Now, here's what drives me. I believe that Campbell County, and especially Rustburg, is a community of hardworking people, defined by our neighborhoods, our farms, our rolling hills, and our beautiful country views, our way of life. My commitment is to ensure that our future includes steady growth that brings opportunity, without ever risking the fabric of our community. That growth is never worth that risk, or the sacrifice of our natural resources that make Rustburg and Campbell County a special place to call home. You know, many people here adopted me over the years.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. I appreciate that. That is the expiration of your 3 minutes. I would ask that you pass the mic to your left to Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon, your opening statement is 3 minutes, sir.
First of all, I'd like to thank CCRC for putting together this town hall meeting. Good morning, friends, neighbors, fellow citizens of Rustburg and Campbell County. I'm Russell Nixon, and I'm running for the Board of Supervisors for Campbell County. I'm a Christian first, husband second, father, grandfather, a land surveyor, and a business owner here in Campbell County. Every day in my profession, I work to help people build their homes, businesses, and communities. That's given me a unique perspective. I see the challenges our county faces and the opportunities we have to grow responsibly while protecting the character of the place we call home. Beyond my career, I serve as the president of the Campbell County Sheriff's Foundation, where I work to support the men and women who keep our families safe. I am also proud to be involved with the National Center for Healthy Veterans, an organization dedicated to restoring the lives of those who have sacrificed for our freedoms. I also serve on the Cannon County Board of Zoning Appeals, where John actually appointed me, where I've been firsthand and seen firsthand the importance of good decision making for the fairness in our community and for the future of our community. My faith guides me, my family grounds me, and my love for this community drives me. I believe leadership is about service, not power. It's about listening to people, respecting their voices, and making decisions that put Campbell County families first. I'm going to go off script. I've been with my wife for 38 years. I met her at Rustburg High School when I was 16 years old. We have a unique story. Together, we've built an amazing family. Thank the Lord, they follow Christ. Like John, I'm a member of Highland Heights Baptist Church. I work with a group called the Fishers of Men National Tournament Trail, where I get to take my grandsons to hear the gospel on the weekends and spread the gospel to folks. My main priority in my life is to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, whether that's politically or whether that's in a church or that's on the side of a lake. Let me tell you why I'm running. I'm running because I believe Rustburg deserves a representative who works as hard as they do. Someone who isn't afraid to roll up their sleeves, stand up for what's right, and service before the self. Together, we can assure Campbell County remains a place where faith, family, and community values thrive for generations to come. I hope I can count on y'all's vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. Mr. Worley, 3 minutes, sir.
So, a little bit about me quickly. Fourth generation Campbell County resident, grew up in Long Island, Virginia, working for a family-owned business for 15 years as a mechanic. I'm like so many in this room, just a blue-collar guy, just trying to survive, raise his family, along with my wife of 24 years. Our 2 children come through the Rustburg school system. I have a deep passion and love for this county. These gentlemen talk about faith, also for me as well, Christian, born again. I think back to when I was a youngster, and my mother always told me, she said, don't bring home a report card with F's on it. As a politician, I think F's are okay, and I'll tell you why. Because you have faith, you have family, you have freedom, and there also comes fiscal responsibility and accountability. I don't want to talk so much about the past, I want to talk about the future. Mr. Hardy's done an amazing job thus far. I think Russ would do a good job as well, but we have some very unique challenges ahead of us as a county. This county has lacked growth in strategic areas like the Seneca Park, and I aim to accelerate that growth, working in partnership with the economic development team right here in the county. Why is that so important? Because we have cut, slashed, and chopped our budget for the county down to the bare bone. It was just this year, in June, at the board meeting, Frank Rogers addressed the board and said, Board, I just want you to know that we only have the funds to replace 1 of our deputy cars when we should be replacing 6. How can you cut that? It's a core function of our county. These are things that are passionate to me, and I feel that it's my duty to get up off the sofa, stop complaining about poor politicians, and go do something about it. And so that's what I chose to do. It's not what I necessarily wanted to do. I felt driven to do that. I felt it was my duty to do that because we needed good representation, someone who has a business development background, who's closed multi-million-dollar deals for businesses that were located right here in Campbell County. Real quickly as I close, I've had a chance to talk with Frank Rogers one-on-one. I've talked to Nina, Economic Development Director, one-on-one, and it was quite interesting when I sat down with Nina and she showed me all the businesses in Campbell County and how great things are. All of them on that board were older than 20 years old. Only one of them was a new business. That's how we keep our taxes low. We have to grow. We've got a Seneca Park where we can do that, and we need to emphasize that. We haven't made the strategic investments that we needed to make as a county to ensure our future, to ensure that we keep our taxes down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. We'll switch to the school board. We'll start with Ms. Jones. 3 minutes, ma'am.
Well, good morning. My name is Bev Jones, and I'm running for the Rustburg District School Board. I'm a Yankee transplant from northern Delaware, and I've been in Campbell County for more than 20 years at this point. I'm a wife, a mom, a grandmom. I am a home herbalist. I'm a small industry beekeeper. I, too, am a Christian. I'm a member down the road at Calvary Baptist in Concord. I was saved in 1979. I worked for a lay counseling agency, a national agency, the American Biblical Counseling Foundation, between 83 and 87. I have led multiple precept classes over the last 30 years, and professionally, I spent 45 years of my life as a career professional nurse in primarily critical and acute care environments in the Mid-Atlantic area. I'm currently retired. I jumped into the school board race back in June. After that time, I've spent several weeks just doing some reading and studying on how we've gotten to the mess that we're in our culture. We really have to take a look at the ideologies that are being given to our young people in our schools, not only our schools, but certainly there. Overall, the Gen Zers do not present well. Per the stats, they perform poorly academically. They're plagued with moral and social health problems. They are not robust physically. 70% of them would be unable to pass a military entrance exam. They have high rates of substance abuse, addictions, illegitimate pregnancies, STDs, suicide, all of the things you want your kids to stay away from. And really not many of them have any formative plans for what to do after high school. Back in 1983, President Reagan commissioned a panel to evaluate our education system, even then, which was falling behind other nations. In fact, there were many third world countries that were scoring better than the United States was. Their conclusion came in 18 months later in a report that was entitled Nation at Risk. It's available online. None of it was good information, guys. Although we've had these findings for more than 50 years now, the declines in public education have been uninterrupted, and young people are continuing to graduate from our schools functionally illiterate and innumerate. I think it is a glaring travesty that the centuries-old pattern of educating for character, virtue, even before knowledge, was abandoned back in the 1960s as a result of secular, Marxist, court and school influences. The moral decay of our nation parallels those decisions. It's indisputable that banning voluntary prayer and the teaching of American character virtues, the expunging of the recognition of God and of moral right in our culture has resulted in deep wounds in America's soul, even this week with the tragic loss of a great American hero in the opinion of millions.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. We appreciate your remarks. Mr. Phillips, please, 3 minutes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. I'm David Phillips. I'm a lifelong resident of Rustburg, served on the school board for the past 8 years, grown up in Rustburg and raised my family here. I've personally attended Rustburg schools K through 12, as did my wife, as well as both of my daughters. I've got an engineering degree from Old Dominion University and an MBA from Averett University. Employed at BWX Technologies as a project manager of the aircraft carrier division. I'm a lifelong member of Rustburg United Methodist Church right across from middle school here, and I'm on the administrative board there as well. I was a member of the Rustburg Athletic Booster Club for about 10 years. I've served on the board there. My wife has been a teacher at Rustburg High School for 13 years, and I'm an Eagle Scout. And I've had a lifelong investment here in Campbell County in the school systems, and would like to continue to move that forward. I've got 6 areas that I'd like to focus on. I'll touch on those briefly. School safety is paramount. We've got school resource officers in every school and work closely with the sheriff's office to develop emergency plans and defenses at each school. Provide students with quality learning environment. We've got a new Rustburg Middle School, and we're renovating Brookville High School right now. Take care of our teachers and staff, number 3, as well as our administrators, our bus drivers, custodians, cafeteria workers. Provide them with competitive wages, as well as take care of them professionally with training, mentorship programs, and so forth. I like to provide students with educational options to customize their education. We have the CTE program, Career Technical Education. We have the STEM program, Early College program, the Governor's School, advanced placement classes for our secondary education. We've got the Odyssey program for our younger students. We've got the Cornerstone Learning Center for special needs, as well as the Laurel Center program for more severe special needs. So we've got a lot of great opportunities here in Campbell County for our students. Number 5, I want to keep parents involved in our schools. I want to continue to support our PTO programs. And I've always been very responsive to the concerns brought forth to me, getting back with folks when they give me a call or an email as soon as I can. I'll continue to do that. And lastly, number 6, I want to just continue to instill good old-fashioned Campbell County values here in our schools. Myself and my entire family have received a great education through Campbell County Schools, and I not only want to continue that success, but provide our students with even more opportunities and support in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Hartman, 3 minutes, sir.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ryan Hartman. I will self-proclaim that I am the newcomer here, the transplant to this area. I'm originally from the Roanoke Valley, where I met my beautiful wife that's graciously brought our newborn daughter here today, so I apologize if there's a little crying going on. But she's the foundation for all that I'm doing right now, as well as my kids. We moved to D.C., where she was from, and quickly realized that that was not where we wanted to raise our kids at. In Northern Virginia, and so we moved here by throwing a dart at the map and pretty much found Campbell County and have fallen in love with it. We live in the Timberlake community. Our kids, 2 of our kids attend Tomahawk. I have 2 more that will be there subsequently in the next few years. It's going to be 18 years of my kids in Campbell County Public Schools. That's 18 years of a vested parent vesting their interest into the school board because their kids are currently enrolled in those schools. I've spent 20 years of my life, and my wife will attest to this, being gone a lot of the times, but I've spent 20 years of my life in public safety. I've got a career field that spans from fire and EMS to law enforcement. About a decade of law enforcement was spent between patrol and SWAT, as well as school resource officer, and then I finished my career in law enforcement as a child sexual exploitation investigator for what was originally Blue Ridge Thunder, but is now SOVA ICAC. Folks, if there's anyone here that knows, and not taking away from anyone else on this stage, but if there's anyone here that knows that a child's innocence cannot be regained and that we need to protect our children, it's me. I can assure you that from seeing that every day at work. Like I said, I have 4 beautiful children. I have a loving wife. We're devoted Christians. My wife is that foundation for sure. We go to Timberlake Church. We have been there for since about 2015 now and love it there. Member of the trustees at our church. Helped facilitate the emergency management program for Timberlake Church. My wife, she's in charge of it. I'm just the muscle, but we manage the the Christmas Blessings program, which for Campbell County students that their parents are unable to provide them a Christmas, our church will donate that money, buy the gifts for them, provide them to their parents at the Campbell County schools, and then those parents can wrap those gifts up, and that way their kids have a Christmas. We were vested in our children. I remember when my son graduated from preschool and moved on to Campbell County Public Schools, they asked him, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And he said, "Just like my dad, a fireman." And man, I'll tell you, your kids look up to you. And you may not realize it, but that's why we need somebody that's got kids vested in this, that their kids can continue to look up. And I can assure you, folks, your children will be my children. You will be members of my family. I will take care of you all. I will promote your children, promote parents' rights, parents' involvement in the school, promote teachers, and continue on. I'm sorry if I'm a little slow this morning. I just got off shift. I'm a firefighter paramedic in the city of Lynchburg, so I apologize. I'm moving a little slow. We were up all night. Folks, I appreciate your support. I'm here for you all. I'm ready to start working for you, the members of Timberlake and the members of Campbell County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Ms. Parker, 3 minutes, ma'am.
Checking with our timer. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Ann Parker, and I currently serve on the Campbell County School Board representing the Timberlake District. But in all reality, as everyone up here knows, we serve the entire county. I'm just voted in by the members of the voters in the Timberlake District. So when we have something come before us, not only do I represent my voters, but I also look at the overall impact. A lot of the supervisors and folks also at this table and in the room know that if it is something that we need help from our county supervisors, I'm not shy about asking and trying to be collaborative to find a way for us to do better for our kids. I appreciate some of the comments that have been made here that had me add a couple notes regarding safety. We were the first, way before my time after Sandy Hook. The supervisors at the time did approve SROs for all of our schools, so I inherited that. I'm very proud of that. Super excited that our current administration also amped up our security protocol by holding a reunification training last summer. When I signed up for it, I didn't even know what it meant. But it was incredible. And we walked through the school. We all took turns either making plans, being a parent, or being a student. It was incredible. So Campbell County is well prepared for anything that might occur. I do want to let everyone know that I got off the couch in 2020 after the election and got involved in Virginia audit movements. I've met a lot of wonderful people in Richmond, D.C., and other state governments as a result of that. That has been very helpful to being productive in things regarding law and regulations for school boards. I was very vocal being anti-mask and anti-COVID vaccine, and so that's why a lot of folks in the room know who I am. I also was very vocal in making sure our community knew about religious and medical waivers for vaccinations. It's actually on page 3 of our enrollment form. I'll never get through, I'm still at the top 3. Enrollment form on page 3, CRE1, is actually a Virginia Department of Health religious exemption for all vaccinations, so check it out. It actually is on our homepage, right beside the school enrollment form. I brought forth the anti-CRT and the right to life resolution to our Board of Supervisors through Supervisor Klein while I was still a candidate. So I'm very proud of that and appreciate Supervisor Klein for bringing that forward to our county. First on the board, as a Christian also, I made sure that we were having a Pledge of Allegiance, a moment of silence. I don't know where it went. There we go. Moment of silence, and that we did have In God We Trust at our schools. They do pledge, have a moment of silence in every morning, and we made sure that we were doing that with our school board. Constitution Day, I've grown that. 9/11, I just confirmed that we were celebrating that. Am I done?
Ms. Parker,
Done.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's all candidates who have had their opening statements. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize a candidate who is here in attendance, although running unopposed. Mr. Carwile, please do not applaud. I'm just joking. As you know, Justin's our current chairman, so we're thankful that you're here, Justin, today. We're going to move into the question section of the morning. To remind everyone, there's a 1-minute response. A 20-second notification from the timekeeper, so keep an eye on Claude, and also a red card when your time is up. I'm going to index through the candidates so that everyone has the ability to speak first, and everybody hopefully will have the ability to speak last as well. So I'm going to start with the Board of Supervisors. Mr. Nixon, I'll start with you, followed by Mr. Worley, then Mr. Hardy. Recent reports of the landfill closure is estimated to leave a $2 million gap in the budget cycle. What do you propose to do to close that $2 million gap with either additional revenue or reduced spending? 1 minute, sir.
Well, as you may know, I got up and spoke against the Region 2000.
Mike, sir.
Most of you may not know this. I actually got up and spoke against the expansion of the landfill based on what Region 2000 wanted to do. I've never supported Region 2000 owning our landfill and us being a landfill that takes everybody else's trash. Campbell County's landfill was created in 1979. It's met a lot of challenges along its way, and one of those was the expansion into a regional landfill. Let's talk about the money. That $2 million gap may not even be $2 million gap. It may be more than that, and that's something that our board's going to have to address. It costs between $80,000 and $250,000 per acre to actually shut a landfill down. At the end of the day, I don't think this board nor that landfill organization really understands how expensive it's going to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Worley, if you need the question repeated, please just let me know.
Yes, please.
To summarize, what is your plan to close the $2 million gap in the county budget that will be in existence due to the closure of the landfill?
So my plan is to, like I mentioned in my open statement, focus on new business development. That's my background. I spent the last 15 years working for Foster Fuels and other businesses in the industry, working with small business and large business. Companies like Amazon and their corporate offices in Seattle, and Microsoft, Walmart, major contract deals. And so I plan to work with Nina and the economic development team, accelerate our growth. That will help offset those costs. Otherwise, the taxpayers will bear that burden. It is undeniable. We can't even afford to pay for the basic functions of the things we have today. How in the world can we offset $2 million? Well, the traditional way for politicians is just to hit the easy tax button, just raise taxes. To John's point earlier, he mentioned that he dropped taxes. Well, the truth of the matter is you're in for a surprise, because over the next couple of years, those taxes are going to readjust, and you will continue paying more. So it's going to be a huge challenge. We've got to have someone with the skills to lead us forward.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. Mr. Hardy, 1 minute.
Thank you. So, yes, I would say that with my experience, I believe that we are well prepared. So that may sound a little different to everybody else with the following answers. And I would say that in my experience, one of the things and one of the reasons why we did go to a 2-time-a-year billing system was the advantages to increase our capital as a county without raising a tax burden. With that, in 1 year, we were able to adjust a cycle, not charge our taxpayers a penny more in that year, and we made a one-time revenue gain of over $16 million, some of which our county has been withholding and making sure that we have reserved for purposes such as this. If you take that $16 million and you're investing it and making money over it over time, as you would your regular money in your own bank accounts, you can cover costs. So this is a decision for the board. But I do believe that we're well prepared, and I am the only one that has that experience and outlook, and we've taken steps to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. I'm going to move to the school board, and I will start with Mr. Phillips. And again, candidates, if you need the question asked again as we go around, I realize there are several candidates and the question may get muddied. Mr. Phillips, being that school standards are passed down from the state, how do you plan to bring parents into the schools? 1 minute, sir.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a big advocate of involving our parents. We have meetings with our parents currently to review our standards, our curriculums. We work with our school board administration and our administration at the main office here to meet with our parents, review those plans prior to putting them in place. So I think it's key to maintain that involvement with parents going forward. I think parents are crucial to their children's education. So we want to review anything that comes from the state with our Campbell County citizens first before implicating that into our school system. And also let you know that I mentioned I'm a Campbell County lifelong resident, but we did a nice job in Campbell County to have our administration here in Campbell County. Dr. Stanley is a lifelong Campbell County resident. He's our superintendent. And Dr. Hale is our assistant superintendent. She's been a lifelong Campbell County resident. She was principal coming up through, so our administration is involved.
Thank you,
from the
Mr.
ground
Phillips.
up as well,
That
so.
is the end of your 1 minute time period. Mr. Hartman?
If you wouldn't mind, I think I got most of it.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Fonte.
Being that school standards are passed down from the state, how do you plan to bring parents into the schools?
All right, thank you, sir. Like I told everyone this morning, as a current parent, my wife and I are very much wanting to know what these standards are, wanting to know what our students, our children are learning and what they're being exposed to. So if we're getting to that position, what I think we need to do is we need to involve our parents more. Like I've said, we need to have meetings, either it's via digital stuff for parents that aren't able to make it there, or some kind of community outreach to involve our parents. The schools should be able to involve parents more as well. In our school board, we should be able to take that ability as the voted on workers for our citizens to be able to bring that to them, whether it's district meetings, parents' involvements, more social media outreach to involve parents in here. I think what we could say is we have a lack of maybe understanding of what's going on as parents. I think my wife and I can say that we have missed some of the communication, and we're needing better communication from the school board to these citizens so they know. The parents want to be involved. I'm sure parents want to be involved.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Ms. Parker, 1 minute, please, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. So the standards that are coming down are more curriculum-based and productivity-based and proficiency-based. But regarding parents' involvement, we do have the board that is open to the public to serve on for curriculum, as Mr. Phillips mentioned. But for our schools, we have portals, we have emails, we have backpacks. Unfortunately, a lot of times they don't get home, right? They go in the backpacks. The social media is very active. If you check our CCPS page and the school pages, they post multiple times a day. We do have open meetings. We invite parents constantly to meetings. We are in the community constantly. I can honestly tell you, every time I have walked into a school, I have run into one of my administrators or another school board member. We are there. We are speaking with our parents. And as some folks have already mentioned, well, one, I had 5 kids who graduated. I didn't get that in my intro, that have graduated from Brookville. But we have parents that reach out.
Thank you, Ms. Parker.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you could pass the mic down to Ms. Jones.
Supervisor, would you repeat the question?
Absolutely, ma'am, yes. Being that school standards are passed down from the state, how do you plan to bring parents into the schools? Thank you.
Well, the same way that I would not want children or grandchildren educated the way they're educated in states like New York or in California, nor do I have a happy idea towards them being educated the way that children might be educated in Richmond or even Roanoke in those local areas, because the demographics are different, other reasons as well. I was chatting with Eve Reinert earlier this week, and she had an idea I thought was an excellent idea, that every one of the school board members should have a committee of parents from their districts, backing them up and making sure that they're aware of ideas that are coming from the community. It's not an easy thing in particular to be in touch with all the people in a sprawling area as big as the county or even my district, Rustburg. So I think that parents are critical. I think that parents may need to get a wake-up call. I think that parents need to undertake and shoulder the responsibility that they must be involved in their child's education. It can't just be the school.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. We're going to go back to the Board of Supervisors. We'll start with Mr. Worley. And again, as we go around, please feel free to ask me to restate the question. So in your opinion, what is the intent of zoning and the special use permit application regulations? And follow up, what criteria would you factor most in your decision in making land use decisions?
Land use decisions need to be and take into account the surrounding area. I know one challenge that we've had recently and that I've heard in several board meetings is when there's a petition to rezone, the community doesn't know. So the current policy is we send out a letter to the properties that surround that particular property that's looking for the rezoning. However, other properties that may be one property over aren't being notified, and so there's still people in the community. What I would like to do and what I would propose is we put up at least a minimum 30-day mandate where there has to be a sign placed on the property that's seeking rezoning, so that way we can communicate that information to the public. In closing, I would also go back and readdress Mr. Hardy's $16 million one-time shot that we received in taxes. Well,
Yes, sir.
we can only draw a certain amount of percentage on that, and it's very minimal in terms of what we can earn on that. It's about $500,000, so it's pretty significant in terms of the deficit. Plus, we have to spend approximately $9 million to actually build the facility.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. To Mr. Hardy.
Thank you. So I would say that when it comes to land use, the most important thing is to inform the people. As Mr. Worley pointed out, that is something that is important to me. I've brought it to the board on multiple occasions, and yet the majority of the board has not felt strong enough to, at this point, want to have signs displayed. I believe that it is our responsibility to inform the public. It is also very important that we look at and investigate our codes and revisit our codes constantly, because we may end up with data centers as a by right usage, when in fact we should always listen to the people. And so yes, that is something that needs to be reevaluated and constantly looked at as our code, along with our standards for residential neighborhoods, making sure that we are right-sizing things. We don't want to slow down people from doing their business, and we don't want to over-regulate, but we have to find a happy medium that protects our community and the fabric of our community.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. If you could pass the mic to Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, sir. In your opinion, what, excuse me, what is the intent of zoning and special use permit regulations, and what criteria would you factor in when making land use decisions?
My opinion. Well, for the last 32 years, all I've done in Campbell County is work with zoning applications and special use permits. So the zoning application special use permit process was set up by the state, handed down to Campbell County. In 2006, Campbell County is required to put in a comprehensive plan that shows a diagnostic map of how they want the county to be built, residential, commercial, single family, those type things. The rezoning process is actually a pretty strict requirement. When a person rezones, they have 4 months from the time they submit an application to get a rezoning heard and approved through the board. Special use permit, the same thing. The state laws do not mandate that the county require a sign in a front yard. It's up to that county to put in zoning ordinances that will allow that or enforce that. As a candidate, I've dealt with this for so long, it's become second nature. This board alone had a running joke. I was here so much, they wanted
Thank
to
you,
put a
Mr.
seat
Nixon.
for me.
That's the
Thank
extent of your
y'all.
1 minute. Appreciate it, sir. We're going to go back to the school board, and we will begin with Mr. Hartman. Mr. Hartman, up until this point, what involvement have you had with the Campbell County school system, and what do you plan on having as being most impactful? I'm sorry, I'm trying to take a lot of words and make them into a few.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. So I do have 2 children that's been there. I have a 3rd grader and a 1st grader. We were blessed that our children were able to participate in the VPI program. So we've been there for almost about 5 years now. Campbell County Public Schools is the greatest school district in this area. But just because we're great doesn't mean that we can't be better. Continual quality assurance makes people better. We do it in the city every day. We're a great agency. We continually strive to be better. My issues with the school board are not on the educator levels. They're not within the schools. We need transparency for transportation. Just this week, our child's bus was canceled with 30-minute notice for my wife to figure out how to get our newborn and our other child out of the house and to the bus stop, and then figure out if she was going to be able to get to the school or not, with a 15-minute notice to call the school to change. We need to have better transparency and better communication from the transportation side. We can continue. Parents need that transportation. We're working parents. We can focus on that to start with.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. If you could pass the mic to Ms. Parker. Ms. Parker, what involvement have you had in Campbell County schools historically, and how would you use that to make an impact going forward?
Yes, thank you so much. My first son attended Tomahawk at 2nd grade in year 2000. My youngest son graduated in 2000, goodness gracious, 23. So a lot of involvement in the schools. But being on the school board, I've also done things as far as bringing legacy education into the fold, which helps our kids post-graduation. Legislative tours with our legislators. I've presented Bible as literature, respect program that for religious expression from our students. I just started a student advisory council. 20 seconds, okay, and transportation quickly, if you can find us some drivers, please do. We teach kids, we teach the CDL class, and as soon as a driver is sick, the notice goes out within probably less than 60 seconds. So we are short 7 drivers, as most districts are across the nation, and we'd love to have you come drive for us.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. If you could pass the mic to Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones, the question is what involvement have you had historically with Campbell County schools, and how would you use that to make an impact going forward?
This goes back a number of years ago because of my age, but I have grandchildren who attended elementary school in the Concord area of Campbell County. They spent some period in private school as well, in Christian school, and most recently over at Rustburg High, because private education is expensive. What are my main interests with regard to the education of our children, both nationally and certainly in our county? I'm very interested in curricula issues. I want to make sure that the curricula that our children are being exposed to is rigorous enough that we're getting our money's worth with regard to the huge investment the taxpayers is putting into our public schools. I am also extremely interested in the moral void of our public schools, whether that's an issue that's going to end up going to Richmond or not. If it needs to go to Richmond, then to Richmond it shall go. It has to be remedied. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, so involvement with the schools. So my first involvement was a kindergartner at Yellow Branch Elementary School. So as I mentioned, I went to Yellow Branch Elementary. I went to Rustburg Middle School and High School as a student. My wife taught at Rustburg High School as a history teacher for 12 years, homebound for 1 year as well. I've got 2 daughters. Both my daughters went to Rustburg Elementary all the way up through Rustburg High School. They played sports. I've been in the Athletic Booster Club for 10 years. I was a chaperone at dances, at proms. I accompanied my wife going to dances and making sure things went well with dances and things over the years. But as I mentioned, been on the school board for 8 years. Reached out to my principals every week before we have our meeting, email our principals and see what's going on. And I've got a grandchild about a month old, so I've got a vested interest in continuing to support our schools and make them the best they can be, and like I said, instill those solid Campbell County values in our schools going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. We're going to go back to the Board of Supervisors, and we will index around and start with Mr. Hardy. Mr. Hardy, according to some math, staff compensation has exceeded the rate of inflation. Do you think that that is a problem, and if so, how would you address it?
So I think that we do have some gaps with our pay scale, and we have made one attempt, a successful attempt on the board during my time. One of the issues that we're having with some of the gaps is that the top keeps growing and getting larger, and while the bottom is not gaining ground, and that is because the state and the locality is following suit with percentage pay scale increases. And when you do percentage increases, that's what it exemplifies over time. The top gets bigger, the bottom doesn't grow very much. To do that, we have implemented once before on the board in my time where everyone got the same pay raise across the board, whether you were the county administrator or whether you were somebody in public works. And very proud of that. I think we need to have more systems like that where we attack our pay scale and pay gaps. There are times where fellow board members in the room would know I have not voted for some of the administrative increases.
Thank you, Mr.
that
Hardy.
we've
That's
seen.
the extent of your 1 minute. Thank you very much. If you could pass the mic to Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon, again, according to some math, staff compensation has exceeded the rate of inflation. Do you think that's a problem? And if so, what would you do to address it?
Well, as a business owner in Campbell County, I've had to deal with this myself. Folks with longer tenure obviously are going to get paid more than those that are new. However, the folks that work for Campbell County need to be paid on a scale that matches the work they provide. In business, I've recognized the past 40 years that 10% of the people are doing 90% of the work. But that 90% is still robbing from what I consider an inflation rate on the company, or in this case, the county, that could be applied to other things in the county to save us money. As a business owner, I've dealt with it my entire life, and I feel like Campbell County needs to doge our entire government and figure out how and where to cut the spending. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. To repeat the question one more time from Mr. Worley, according to some math, state of the staff compensation for the county has exceeded the rate of inflation. Do you think this is a problem? If so, what would you do to address it?
So the inflation has changed a lot over recent years. I know I've done a lot of work in this area with the consumer price indexing. So if the rate of inflation is 2 to 3%, well, then there should be a sliding scale put in place based on an employee's performance and how they get their raises. And I know that's hard to do when you're talking about a wide swath of people, but ultimately you need to be basing it on their performance level. Now, if you go back several years ago when the inflation rate was over double digits, absolutely not. You've lost your mind. I would never give someone a raise over and above that type of inflation rate. So it really depends on the context in which you're having the conversation. I will say, and I know I'm running short on time, that I know bus drivers need pay raises. I know I talked to one lady that went through a span, it was 9 years before they had a pay raise. And they also need to talk about benefits for them as well. They're part-time workers with no benefits, so we really need to take a hard look at some of those core jobs that we need to get our kids to and from schools as well.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. We're going to go back to the school board, and we'll be starting with Ms. Parker. Ms. Parker, do you believe we have problems with our school transportation system? And if so, what would you do to fix them?
Love this one. We absolutely do not have any trouble with our transportation system except for the lack of drivers. My husband, who came after work, thank you for being here, is a trash truck driver. They're also short. There isn't one company out there that needs drivers that isn't shorthanded right now, and we have provided raises. And if we are to provide raises or benefits, which we advocate for always with our joint budgetary committee, unfortunately, the folks in this room would have to pay for that because it would have to come from tax money. Our budget for our raises for our teachers and our administration comes from the state, and what people don't realize is when they say 3% for everyone, it is not. It is just for our SOQ employees, which means we have to go to the Board of Supervisors for the balance of everyone else to receive a raise, and everyone has, and we've gone above and beyond with that. Happy to provide any statistics if anybody would like. Just let me know after the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. If we could pass the mic to Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones, to restate the question real quick, do you believe we have problems with the transportation system in the county school system? And if so, what would you do to fix them?
Well, Supervisor, I would say yes to that. I have been speaking, we've been doing some minor surveys out in our areas. We've gone knocking doors, and I was a little bit surprised a week ago to have someone tell me that it's not really the responsibility of the schools to provide transportation for our kids. Now, there's an expensive and a novel idea right there. Another one of our residents made a comment that he objects to the fact that the buses are going up and down the road all the time, and as you go into the parking lots of the school, they're clogged with other traffic, cars of parents dropping children off, of students who drive themselves. So certainly it's a redundant situation. At the very least, I would say, I remember the days when I used to ride the bus many years ago. We had consolidated bus stops. I've been on Eastbrook Road and have followed many a school bus and been late for meetings I was trying to attend because the bus stopped at every single driveway along the way. Now, I've had grandchildren who've been on the buses for
Thank you,
almost
Ms.
an hour.
Jones. I appreciate those comments. If you could pass the mic to Mr. Phillips. Mr. Phillips, do you believe we have a transportation problem in the school with the schools? And if so, what would you do to fix them?
Yeah, I would say we have a little bit of an issue, as we've mentioned, with availability of drivers. As Ms. Parker mentioned, we have increased the pay rate to try to help that out. There is a CDL requirement for our drivers, so that makes it a little more challenging to get bus drivers. You just can't. My dad used to drive a school bus while he went to school. You can't do that anymore, unfortunately. So it's tougher to get the higher qualification drivers that we need now. It's a question that literally comes up every school board meeting. We checked with Dr. Ranella about shortages. We're making extensive efforts to fill those positions. I think we're about 7 short now, and the administration is doing a great job of consolidating routes to address the issue. So, yeah, I think it's a concern. Safety-wise and everything else, I think everything is fine, but it's just, as Ms. Parker mentioned, it's an availability of drivers, and we're doing everything we can to address that issue as we move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Hartman, do you believe we have a transportation issue with the schools? And if so, what would you do to fix the issue?
Thank you, sir. We do have a transportation issue with the schools. As a parent whose children currently go to Campbell County Public Schools, I can tell you firsthand that we have a transportation issue. I appreciate both current sitting members on the school board stating that there's a hiring issue with that. I'll tell you, the city of Lynchburg short firefighters, we still got to get the job done at the end of the day. So even with that, we still need to get the job done. Yes, we have these problems. The buses were delayed, and I understand that. The sicknesses and illnesses come up. What I propose is we work with technology, AVL, which is automatic vehicle locators, GPS on the buses so that we can determine where these buses are and have that given to parents via an app. We need to bring technology into Campbell County schools more than what we have via AI, whatever technology in that situation. That way the parents can see that and say, hey, my kid is right here at Kirkley and Loxley. I know they're going to be home in just a few minutes. That's what we need. The other thing is when we call transportation after hours or the school, no one answers. Parents are left without their kids there, not knowing where they're at. We need to have some accountability for communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. We're going to go back to the Board of Supervisor candidates, and we will start the questioning with Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon, Region 2000 owes Campbell County $6 million. How do you propose that we regain those dollars? Or collect those dollars, I should say.
Well, hopefully our new lawyer does a better job than our previous one writing contracts, and that's why we're in this mess. Unfortunately, are you asking how we get it from Region 2000, or are we asking how we get it from the citizens? Because the one thing I don't want to see is our citizens get penalized for a mistake made by our previous administration. I think we take a lien out on Region 2000, we force a squeeze on them legally, and hopefully run them out of town. And we regain our landfill back, and it gets either closed properly or handled the way our board deems fit for our citizens of the county.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. Mr. Worley, the Region 2000 owes Campbell $6 million. What would you do to help us collect those dollars?
Well, going forward, you need someone that understands contract negotiation. I think we've already touched on that. That's definitely experience I have. I've actually done some research into this issue. I reached out to a company called Landfill Group based out of North Carolina. I believe there's a possible win-win solution that we could approach them with, where it's a revenue generation opportunity for them and also a potential shared opportunity for us, where we focus on Campbell County gets our money back 100%, and thereafter that opportunity could be split in some ratio where they profit and we profit. They'll have ongoing costs, I think, to the tune of $500,000 per year to maintenance the landfill after it closes. So we need to look for opportunities, because right now we're spending about $30,000 a month in legal fees, and that's coming right out of the taxpayer's pocket. So we got to figure out something else and see if we can come to a win-win resolution rather than a win-lose situation.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. Mr. Hardy, with the region owing us $6 million, how do you propose that we collect that money?
So I think it's the board's intent, and we are seeking legal action. And that's the route that we need to go. That is the route that we are going. In addition to that, I do believe that, and according to state code, the Region 2000 Services Authority is not meeting the Code of Virginia. They don't have the legal amount of members and things of that nature. We need to really approach MIARES for help and make sure that we do that legally and go after them in this terrible relationship that we have been in. Yes, due to contract problems, but that is not Campbell County's land. We need to end it. We need to protect our land and provide a better future and make sure that we are not a host community. Our community, especially our county seat, is worth more than being other communities' dumps.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. We're going to go back to the school board. I believe we start with Mr. Phillips. I'm trying to keep all this going in my mind here. Ms. Jones, I'm sorry. We'll start with Ms. Jones. Ma'am, why is it necessary for children to bring home fundraisers for adequate supplies and funding while our tax dollars flow to other localities and other nations?
My answer to that is that I don't think that is necessary. I have heard that now somewhat I'm an outsider because of my profession, but I'm looking at the end product of what does come out of the school system and see plenty of reasons for us to make some changes. I believe that there are budgets in place for every one of the teachers to buy supplies, and I don't really know that there is a great need for the fundraisers, but those would have to be determined item by item, I would think. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, I think there's no pressing need for the fundraisers. As the saying goes, the grass is always greener. So, of course, there's always something else our classrooms could use, so that we do fundraisers for that, for art supplies, tissues, paper towels, that kind of thing. But, of course, I think our schools are well supplied with all of the critical need materials, but we do the fundraisers to just provide that extra level of comfort and availability for our students. And if we can raise that money from parents, that's great. It's a little extra materials and things that we have for the schools that we don't have to approach the taxpayers for. So I don't want to do away with that, but I don't think it's a critical need for that. It's just nice to have a nice buffer to provide our students and our staff with a little extra materials so we don't have to burden the taxpayer with that. So,
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Hartman, why is it necessary for children to bring home fundraisers for adequate supplies while tax dollars flow out to other locations and nations?
I believe there's some need for some fundraisers. That's a history of schools. I remember the chocolate bar fundraisers that we used to do. We're avid in our PTO, and our PTO does a bunch of fundraising for Tomahawk to the tune that they provided a playground there. Our Tomahawk PTO had to provide the playground at Tomahawk School. Their funding did that. My wife's door knocking did that, as well as other ladies and gentlemen that spent a lot of their time doing that. Folks, I believe that we need to reevaluate some of our funding. I've been working on some plans as some teachers have brought some ideas to me and some concerns. There's children in our schools that my kids tell me about when they come home and that we hear about from teachers that aren't having food when they're done with their meals at school. There's no snacks, there's no food, and if they don't like what's on the menu, they're going home hungry. And so I think our teachers should be able to have some resources. We should be able to look at some resources, some funding, whether it's from the state or from the school district, to be able to provide those resources for our kids and for our teachers so that the teachers aren't buying out of pocket like some of them are doing now.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Ms. Parker?
Yes, fundraisers have always been, as folks have already mentioned, our budget does cover the necessary supplies, including tissues and toilet paper, things like that in the classrooms. But fundraisers are voluntary. They aren't, sponsored by the school. They're usually sponsored by a teacher or a group or an organization, and so there's usually a special purpose. And we do, after post-lockdowns, I like to call it, in Virginia, we have free breakfast and free lunch for all students, and then we provide those meals throughout the summer as well, and all families are communicated with. At one point in my life as a single mom, I was on those lists back to get assistance, and we also started the CARE program. I mentioned it at the beginning of my, once I was on the school board, which is a portal that works with CPS and local communities to help our families. It cost us per pupil, so we didn't have it in our budget to do it, but now our Board of Supervisors has graciously covered that cost, so we have that for our
Thank you, Ms. Parker.
families as well.
We're going to go back to the Board of Supervisors. I'm going to start with Mr. Worley. By department, how would you prioritize county funding?
Well, right now the budget is about $90 million. The vast majority of that goes to the school system, about $43 million. The truth of the matter is costs go up. I did some quick research over the last 55 years, according to the CPI index, this Consumer Price Index, costs have only really dipped for any length of time, one time, and that was through the 2008 recession for approximately 7 months. Everything else has been pretty transitory, pretty quick. So the truth of the matter is we're going to have to pay more for everything, including even the school budget. Even if we change nothing, costs are going to continue to rise. The emphasis is laying the foundation of how we generate that revenue. I'll come back to it over and over again. It's taxes, but we can raise the money through new business, not by putting that burden on the current citizens and the current businesses that are in our communities. So if we can focus on that, we can offset those costs, then we can reevaluate the budget and where that money needs to be spent to be smarter going forward and be accountable for the taxpayer money.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. Take that to Mr. Hardy. By department, how would you prioritize county funding?
So by department, I would say some of the key departments that we support currently with our budget, and I think that we are doing things in proportion. Obviously, education is important, public safety is important, law enforcement is extremely important. I think that we need to continue to show support for every single department because these are the supports of our people and of our citizens. So there's libraries, our Parks and Recreation Department, we need to find ways to expand that. We've talked about that on the board and ways to do that without taxing our people more. And we need to do those things. But those are some key, core pieces of government that we need to make sure we support so that businesses will come. Business is important, but we can't get out of balance. And our growth is important, but if we get out of balance, it will cause us to render having to tax more.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Mr. Nixon, by department, how would you prioritize county funding?
Well, let's face it, Campbell County is a business, just like our federal government's a business. The county has to supply enough money for schools, police and public safety, parks and rec, and infrastructures. Prioritizing the money involves making sure we put the right people in place to govern those offices and those administrations. I believe we need to concentrate on putting our money back into our schools, our rec department, and infrastructures to bring business to Campbell County. And I have a whole litany of things I'd like to discuss about how to get community involvement with those services and how to grow the rec department back, because I believe it is very important infrastructures are in place to address Mr. Worley's concerns about commercial growth. And we can, as a county, prioritize our schools. Having a mother who taught for 37 years in Campbell County, it's very dear to my heart to take care of our teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. We're going to go back to the school board, and we will start with Mr. Phillips. What are the things that you can do to get parents more involved in education?
Yeah, we've touched on the parent issues, so our meetings are open to parents each month. We used to have more speakers coming out to our meetings. We haven't recently as much, so I would encourage parents to come out to our meetings. We also have those online. They stream live, so you can watch those meetings online. As far as our individual schools, we encourage parent-teacher organization involvement at our area schools. And personally, if my information is on our website, if any parent ever needs anything, I'm available. And as I mentioned earlier, one of my top priorities is if I get contacted by a parent or a citizen by email or phone, I make it a priority to reach out to those folks and see what the concern is and work with our administration to address those concerns. So open lines of communication and involvement with the monthly meetings and with your area school organizations, the PTO.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Hartman, what are the things that you can do, if elected, to get parents more involved in education?
Discussed that the advertisements there. There is the social media advertisement, as well as we've mentioned that it is open. The meetings are open to the public. I will tell you, though, that even with the advertisement, I don't see that it's getting to everybody. I think a school board member, and what I'll tell you is me, if I'm elected into that position, I'm going to be involved in the school weekly. I'll be there weekly. I'll make that a priority, just like I make my kids a priority. That way the administrators there can see me, the families can see me, as they do already, being there with my 2 students currently. We need to continue our advertisement, continue to make sure that parents are aware that the meeting's here. Let's understand that Campbell County is a rural county with a lot of different socioeconomic disparities that are here. A lot of people may not be able to stream that. A lot of people may not be able to get the transportation here for that. So that's why, as a school board member, I believe being there at the school where parents can see you in the car rider line, or parents can see you on back to school day, or parents can see you dressed up in a bee costume jumping around for your kids when they came back to school.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Ms. Parker, what are the things that you can do to get parents more involved in education?
Continue to do more of the same. As Mr. Hartman said, actually we, as a board, do those things. I'll brag on Mr. Maddox. He actually helps first graders and kindergartners that are new to the school open their milk on the first day of school. He helps them get through the line. We are, as I mentioned earlier, when I visit a school, I always run into another board member or a member of my administration or head of the any of the divisions. I'm actually going to be honored also to be visiting the SEAC board, which is for our Special Education Advisory Council that I've been working on for a few years. I am at the school. I go to the events. I meet the parents. I encourage them to come. I have personally emailed, called, and texted to encourage folks to either have a watch party at home. It's kind of my joke at the school board in my comments, to have watch parties at home if you can't make it to the school board meeting. And of course, don't wait for the meeting. If you have an issue, call me today. And I do pride myself, and my other board members will concur, that I am reached out to
Thank you, Ms. Parker.
regularly.
If you could pass the microphone to Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones, what are the things that you can do, if elected, to get parents more involved in education?
Well, Supervisor, I think this is a whole nother problem when we talk about uninvolved parents. The job of the school system is to educate. That's what the school is responsible to do, not necessarily to feed or to transport, but to educate. And I'm not entirely convinced that we're doing a good job with that. But with regard to parental uninvolvement, that is a whole separate problem. I would be a strong advocate of an annual, at the beginning of the school year, parent boot camp, when it would be laid out to parents exactly what their responsibilities are, what they're their children. They're not the school's children, they're the parents' children, what their responsibilities are for their child. And if they don't love their child enough to meet those responsibilities, they need to be aware that people are watching, and people have identified that that's the case. So I don't think it's the school's responsibility to have to hammer out another hard job of motivating people who aren't motivated by love.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. We're going to go back to the Board of Supervisors, and we will begin questions with Mr. Hardy. Mr. Hardy, what are your biggest priorities and goals for the next 4 years? As a
Um,
board member, let me come.
Sure. My biggest goals is it's to make sure that I'm fighting for people, that I'm listening to our public and what they want, that we do have balanced growth, that we have safe communities, that we have a robust education system, and that, we don't sacrifice the fabric of our community. Those are my priorities, and those all relate directly to the people. This is about we the people.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Hardy. Mr. Nixon, what are your priorities for the next and goals for the next 4 years if elected?
So, being a Rustburg resident and owning a farm on Red House Road, talking with the constituents from Nollins Mill all the way back to the main street of Rustburg, I've talked and listened to what they've had to say. The priorities are not about me. It's about what the constituents need and what these farmers need, what the business owners need, what the county needs revenue-wise. I believe I need to concentrate on our school growth, because we're going to have it with the residential growth happening. The recreation department, because we're going to need a good foundation for the rec department to have parks. Infrastructure, sewer, water locations. We need to concentrate on helping CCUSA build that infrastructure. Keeping a low tax base. Many folks own bass boats, many folks own cars. We're paying taxes on cars and boats that we've already paid taxes on when we bought it. We need to figure out a way to reduce taxes on that. At the same time, maintaining a tax base that our county can work from. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. Mr. Worley, what would be your priorities if elected over the next 4 years?
So, John mentioned balance. I don't see 500 people apartments as being balanced. I don't see massive townhomes as being balanced. I see that as an overburden on our infrastructure. The businesses are going to generate the new revenue we need to build the infrastructure to support the people. So it's a little bit backwards thinking, which a lot of people say I think about things a little differently. So for me, it's prioritizing the business, get the money into the county that way, keep the taxes low, invest in the infrastructure to support these businesses. I think we can do that as long as we're putting in proper measures with these new businesses to make sure they conform, protect the heritage, the aesthetics, and the agriculture within our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. We're going to go back to the school board, and we'll start with Mr. Hartman. Mr. Hartman, and in light of some recent events and some things that we've seen go on in the media around the assassination of Charlie Kirk, is what I'm assuming this question is kind of pointing us back to. How would you respond if a school staff member were found to celebrate that sort of heinous act?
That's a great question in light of everything I've seen on social media this morning and yesterday, and obviously the assassination of Mr. Kirk is a horrible thing. I was telling some of my friends up here on the board that I grew up watching his videos and have watched them. So there is no place either side in taking politics out of this. There is no place to condone someone's death. It does not matter. That's biblical, and that's what I stand on. And every morning, that's what I open up as the Bible. That's what I stand on for. And then on Sunday mornings when I'm attending my church and throughout the week when I'm helping there, loving everybody. You don't have to agree with what they're doing, but you got to love everybody. And condoning someone's murder, on a national televised murder, is absurd. There's no place for that. There's no place for that in Campbell County Public Schools, and we would have to take a swift action on that and get a statement out soon, because as we can see, a lack of communication, a lack of statement only breeds more problems for that. So as I said, a swift action on that. And folks, again, there is no place for any of that anywhere in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Ms. Parker, how would you respond if a staff member were to celebrate a heinous act such as an assassination of a political figure?
Yes, and prayers to Erica, and I hope everyone has seen her speech. It was absolutely mind-blowing and incredible. My superintendent is sitting in the room. He knows exactly what I would do, and I'd be blowing up his phone to haul that person into his office, look at our employment contract, which should read that everyone employed in our district is to uphold county values. So I would be 100% confident that along those lines we would have to make the discussion to either terminate or ask for resignation. Absolutely unacceptable. I mean, you can't condone murder in any possible way, especially when someone's just their free speech, just like on social media. Swipe left, roll up, scroll down. There's no reason for any of us to ever demean or tear down each other. That's not what we're here for. We're here to lift each other up.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. If you pass the mic to Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones, in light of the recent assassination of Charlie Kirk, how would you respond if a Campbell County school staff member were to openly celebrate the death of or assassination of an individual?
I would call for the immediate firing of such an employee.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, in alignment, obviously, with everyone else. That is, I've spoken about Campbell County values a couple of times already this morning. That is obviously not in alignment with Campbell County values or Christian values. So obviously, we would call for the immediate termination of an individual that took a stance such as that. We need to lead by example, and that is not someone we want in a leadership position in our school system. So I would encourage swift action against that.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. I'm going to extend this question as well to the Board of Supervisors candidates, starting with Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon, how would you respond if a Campbell County staff member were to celebrate the death of a political figure? What action would you take?
Well, being someone who's actually dealt with that this week, and it could personally impact a very good friend of mine who is a Christian and business owner. Obviously, the county needs to address the entire conversation of how that person acts. Like with my business, I expect my employees to conduct themselves in a Christian way, in a way that is becoming of the company, in a professional way. No different than Campbell County's employees. And we as an administration, or the board, school administration, Mr. Stanley as a school administrator, they need to take swift action to remove that person from the employment and address it properly for the entire state and entire county to understand why they're doing it. It needs to be complete transparency on the part of the administration and the board on how they handle that person. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Worley.
I echo the same sentiments as everyone else. I think where we live today in this day and age in this county, we have deep roots of faith here, Christianity. I don't think any of us are going to differ on this point at all. I would say we need to execute on every legal opportunity we have to eradicate that person. There was actually some comments made from someone local about someone that is requesting to be a write-in voter for the Board of Supervisors that was also spewing hateful rhetoric. As soon as I found this out, and thanks to some folks who gave me some information on that, I was flying home from Vegas. But I certainly didn't want to name that name because they don't need that recognition, but it's happening here in our own community. And so we need to make sure that we squash that as quickly as we can.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes, again, in line with that, the death of Charlie Kirk was awful. Talking to my daughter, who's 21 and a follower, she looks at him as the Martin Luther King of their time. And, there is no place for comments like that. There is no place to spew that level of hate. And when it affects our county, when it affects a business, by all means, those people need to be dismissed.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. We're going to go back to the school board. So if this question will start with Ms. Parker, and we'll come around. If the governor's office were to change parties, we are likely to again see the Virginia Department of Education flow downs around transgender normalization, critical race theory, and DEI initiatives. Where do you stand on these, and how will you protect our children of Campbell County from these liberal attacks? 1 minute, ma'am.
So for those few of you in the room who didn't see me campaign in 2021, I beat up my board very hard about the transgender model policies. I spent considerable amount of time researching where the laws start and end, where the Civil Rights Act, by the way, federally in 2021, I believe, they secretly added gender at the federal level, which is still there to my understanding, which put some shackles on folks regarding breaking the law. I would absolutely stand up against it again, as I mentioned to parents who contacted me back in 2021 when I was running. I know about the IEP and 504. If you don't know about 504, it's a special accommodation. We have those for folks for a multitude of reasons. If there's something that they need, they can come and seek that out. But I would stand strongly against it, as I have for the last 5 years.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Ms. Jones, if the Virginia Department of Education flows down normalization of transgender, critical race theory, and DEI initiatives, where do you stand on those, and what would you do to protect the Campbell County students?
Well, we're a Judeo-Christian nation. Our foundations are all Judeo-Christian. The matter of CRT, that's really just a workover or a do-over of an old Marxist idea of critical theory, which basically is to criticize and to disrupt any way possible to create a destabilization in a culture. We don't have to have any part of that, and if I had an influence in the school system, we would not have any part of that. Again, the job of the schools is to educate, not to accommodate to every crazy and ungodly idea that comes down the track, and I wouldn't have any of it, frankly.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Mr. Phillips?
Yeah, so often these national issues get brought up as talking points. I'm going to say it again, Campbell County values, we've never had any issue with. We are not Loudoun County here. We're Campbell County. We don't condone this kind of behavior in Campbell County. However, if it's a state or federal mandated law, we do need to be in alignment with that. And our policies have always been, since I've been on the board, before I've been on the board, in alignment with federal and state guidelines, but we build those policies so they're common sense. And I don't want to shut out anyone. Everyone has the right in their own beliefs. It's not necessarily in alignment with mine. So we need to make accommodations for everyone, but I wouldn't make that policy in our school by any means. Again, that's not, following that wouldn't be in alignment with historical Campbell County values. So.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Mr. Hartman, to restate the question real quick, if flowdowns from the Department of Education came out with about transgender normalization, critical race theory, and DEI initiatives, where do you stand and how would you protect our children?
I think the answer resonates from probably across the board here, and probably every sitting school board member, if I can speak frankly. There is no place for misguided information and misguided decisions like this in the schools. However, as Mr. Phillips did say, we do have to make sure that we are aligned with federal regulations. What we can do, and what Ms. Parker does frequently, is be enrichment, and we can be that. We can be that voice for Campbell County if it comes down to that. This county is very strong. This county is a Christian county. This county is a godly county. I don't foresee that ever becoming a problem for us. And I think there's enough people here that are good Christian warriors that are ready to fight to stand up against that, and I'm one of those people. As someone who was directly affected by CRT as a law enforcement officer and seeing the hate while I was in a school resource setting, I know that education is in the school. Parents need to be involved. Parents need to have a say in what their kids are exposed to in the schools. And we as school board members and with the actual central office need to be able to work together for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. We're going to go back to the Board of Supervisors. We'll start with Mr. Worley. Mr. Worley, if landfill expansion in the Rustburg community comes back as a consideration, would you be in favor of expansion or would you be against it?
Interesting, because this question actually came up at a door that I knocked on the other day, and someone said, somebody told me you were for reopening the landfill. And I told them, no, sir, I'm just focused on the future. As of right now, I know of no consideration to reopen the landfill, nor would I support one. My focus is future only. What do we do to offset those costs of moving the trash somewhere else? I have some great ideas. Like I said, I talked to the landfill group, which can create power based on the methane that's escaping from the landfill. And so I think there is a great opportunity for us to capitalize on the closure of that and return some money to the county. It's a possibility. I don't know that it's a solution, but if it costs us nothing to do, but the county can profit from it and it doesn't hurt anything, like I said, putting in the proper measures and requirements, then we should look at that, at least consider it. But no, to answer your question, I have no interest in that.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. Mr. Hardy? If landfill expansion in the Rustburg community comes back as a consideration, would you be in favor of expansion or would you be against it?
So if anybody doesn't know me in the crowd, I would tell you that I'm a hard no on that ever. There is none. And I would tell you that there's always temptation knocking at the door. There's always millions of dollars. Sometimes it's by a private company. Sometimes it comes in the form of gas to energy, which can be offered. But this is property that we don't own. So you have to understand there is not an opportunity for Campbell County to make money out of that situation. And if we were to consider that, again, you are going to risk a future major area of our county, major growth area of our county. Again, that's why we have to look at steady, balanced growth, because it can start to move too fast and increase that tax burden, but absolutely not. This is something before my time on the board that I've led the fight with. I will continue to lead the fight with.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Mr. Nixon, if landfill expansion in the Rustburg community comes back as a consideration, would you be in favor of expansion or would you be against it?
To be honest, I'm torn. I'm against us being a Region 2000 landfill. I don't think we should be taking trash from other people. But then we need to sit back and look. Are we being hypocritical to say we're going to take our trash out of Campbell County and put it somewhere else? That's kind of the pot calling the kettle black. Here's my idea. Just like we did with the food tax, why not put it on a ballot and let the citizens of our county decide what happens with that county, with that landfill? That's transparency. That's giving our county the option. 7 men who represent 7 different districts with very differing views on how to handle that should not be making that decision about something this big, this expensive, and that important. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. We're going to go back to the school board, and I will start with Ms. Jones. For the long version for you, school resource officers are at every school in the county. However, after-school events have become soft targets that are not overseen by SROs or officers. Why are SROs not required to be full-time employees at after-school events if county officers are available?
So the question is why SROs
why
are
are
not?
At after-school events? Yes, ma'am.
Well, they're employees during the school day, so it would seem reasonable to me that when their hours are done, they're finished with their on the job. I am also an advocate that there need to be plenty of people who are at these events who are carrying, who are armed, and who are trained well, so that the dangers in our current society can be offset by the fact that we've got a public prepared, trained, and watching for dangers that would be going on. So I think that they would have done their job when they put their time in at school, and somebody else should take over afterwards.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Phillips, the short version, why are SROs not required to be full-time employees at after-school events if county officers are available?
So we do have the SROs at our schools every day. Every school in Campbell County, we put that in place during my time on the board. But they are there for the school day. We work well with the sheriff's department, and I'm sure you've noticed when we do have football games, after-school events of a large nature, the sheriff's office takes over. They staff that through the sheriff's department. So now if you have a classroom selling cookies or something like that, we won't have a SRO officer there. But any major events, we work with the sheriff's department to be sure we have staffing there as needed for those events after school. But as far as the SROs, right now we're contracted with the county to have them at the school facilities during the day, but not after hours. But again, the sheriff's department, we work well with them to take over for those events as well. So,
Mr. Hartman?
I feel like I can probably speak the most honest on this as one who was employed as an SRO and covered a high school. And that high school, I was in charge of making sure the football games and the basketball and the baseball games were done. But no, even in a county just adjacent to ours, we did not stay after school for smaller sporting events or for even just random public events there. believe that needs to be a collaboration between the sheriff's office, the board of supervisors, and the school board, as it will involve money. That is an overtime rate. That is a contracted rate on providing those officers there. Our sheriff is great. He does a great job at getting those officers there, and the school board's done well at having SROs there, and it's awesome. I'm glad we were able to have that for our children. We might need to address the memorandum of understanding between the school board as well as the sheriff's office and be able to instill adding them for a little bit longer. But yes, as everyone has said, they do move to a 40-hour work week. They're off of their actual shift work, so it does create some complications there, but I think we can work through that via whatever funding that we need to look for. Again, we can't put a price tag on our child's safety.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Ms. Parker?
Yes, I concur with everything. Obviously, our SROs are all full-time in our schools, and we also do have a director of the SROs, which I believe is still Mr. Lawhorn, Deputy Lawhorn, Sergeant. I can never. Thank you.
Feel free to demote them.
So yeah, and they are also involved in elaborate training. But yes, they've already worked their full-time shift, and it is a collaboration with our sheriff's department. The schools do not pay the SROs. The county actually pays the SROs kind of through the schools, right, for their time. So I have never been to an event in the evenings that did not have quite a large showing of deputies from Campbell County. So I'm not quite sure what the question is if it's just after-school activities like football
based around
practice,
after-school
something
activities,
like
yes, ma'am.
that. So we do have coaches, multiple coaches. We also have our principals are still on scene, so we still have a lot of staff there.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. We're going to go back to the Board of Supervisors. We'll start with Mr. Hardy. Mr. Hardy, other localities' boards of supervisors have recently passed zoning regulations that amend the definitions for a medical office and clinic, which effectively removes abortion from the list of approved uses for clinics and medical facilities. Would you support a similar amendment to Campbell's zoning regulation definitions?
I'm going to ask you to repeat that.
It was a long one. I apologize, sir. Other localities' boards of supervisors have passed zoning regulations that amend the definitions of a medical office or a clinic, which effectively removes abortion from an approved use. Would you be in support of removing abortion from the approved use of medical offices and clinics within Campbell County?
So I'll be real clear on this subject as far as that goes. I am not someone who supports abortion. So I certainly would have to study what that looks like. I have not seen that, offered in other communities and everything like that. But my stance is that that is not something that I support. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy.
I'm going to use the rest of
Please
my
do.
time, though. Yeah, thanks. I didn't realize that we could do rebuttals during extra time. But I'll say, that Mr. Nixon made some comments about putting things on ballots. I think that's a great way to go with some items. But we need people that are going to stand up for every sector of our county when the time needs to. So when water lines go bad in Timberlake, I may be in Rustburg, I don't have public water. I don't want to put that on a ballot because it's likely that when you do things like that for big costs, that the rest of the county will say no. And
Thank you,
that
Mr.
is an
Hardy.
extreme risk to every area.
Mr. Nixon, other localities' boards of supervisors have passed zoning regulations that amended the definitions of medical uses in clinics to remove abortion as a by right use. Would you support a similar amendment in Campbell County?
100% get rid of abortion. As a Christian, it's murder. We'll never support abortion. And I adopted my third child, and she could have been aborted, but no. I was blessed to adopt my now 23-year-old daughter when she was 6 months old. Praise God she didn't get aborted. To address a rebuttal to Mr. Hardy about my comment about putting it on a ballot, there's a big difference between stormwater, sanitary sewer, and water line being run down Timberlake Road than there is a landfill that provides trash location drop-off for the entire county. Every contractor, every builder, every business owner, every farmer. There's a big difference in that landfill than there would be for water. Now, I'll tell you something. CCUSA is a private entity. They are not funded by Campbell County. Tim Wagner, the engineer there, will tell you that 100 times during the week and 1,000 on Sunday. So for us to compare those two, it's a little different.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Nixon. Mr. Worley, the question is, other localities' boards of supervisors have passed zoning regulations that amended the by right use for medical offices and clinics to remove abortion. Would you support a similar amendment in Campbell?
So I'll start with my personal beliefs. I don't believe in abortion at all. My wife is actually trying to secure her RN license to go work in the mother-baby unit or labor and delivery at the hospital. So obviously we care a great deal about children. We also have 2 children. There's a lot to that law. I would need to see more into it. And I think it's a responsibility of the board to look at all the terms and conditions presented. So it's a very broad question, but in terms of where I stand on abortion, I'm absolutely against it. So if that helps shape how I would vote, then yes, of course. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I would need more specifics before I would say yay or nay. Sorry, there's just not enough context there to provide a clear answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Worley. We're going to go back to the school board. We will start with Mr. Phillips. Where do you believe that Campbell County education dollars can be best spent to maximize outcomes?
So I think an area that I'm really focused on, I mentioned earlier, is CTE, Career and Technical Education. Mr. Hardy heads up that program for Campbell County, conveniently here on the board. But I work at BWXT Technologies. We have a strong manufacturing community in Campbell County and Lynchburg. We need that pipeline of employees coming out of our school systems, machinists, welders, inspectors. Not everybody needs a 4-year degree. That's a great avenue to take. Like I mentioned earlier, we have governor schools, advanced placement. We've got a lot of opportunities in place for that. But at BWXT, we've donated milling machines and tools to the CTE program. The STEM programs are getting ramped up at our schools. We're having a ribbon cutting later this month at Brookville High School. So that's an area of focus I think we need to continue to push in Campbell County is CTE and providing opportunities to our students to go out of school and into the career
Thank you, Mr.
environment.
Phillips. Mr. Hartman, the question is to you. Where do you believe that Campbell County education dollars can be best spent to maximize outcomes?
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Phillips, for leading into what I was getting ready to say as soon as this question was posed. We were just discussing in my house the other day, Campbell County is unique. As I said, there's different social, economic challenges and changes here, and not every kid wants to go to college for 4 years. Some kids, they graduate high school, they need to help their families to pay bills. CTE, the tech school is where we need to start putting more of that funding into. We need to start having, as Mr. Phillips said, this pipeline for vocations, for hair, for welding, for electrical. I wish I had those opportunities in public school. We need to bring more vocational stuff to this area, and one of the plans that I have is to bring a junior firefighter-ish program to the CTE to help our public safety, who is already needing help in the volunteer agencies. They're dwindling. If we bring 16 and 17-year-olds into this program and give them firefighter 1, then that pipeline can go straight into the volunteer agencies within this county, and we can get them EMT through CVCC. As an EMT instructor myself, we can get them in there for that and start providing them life skills and a job with benefits.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Ms. Parker?
Yes, thank you so much. I think the best spend would be on tutoring, expanding our STEM, which is STEM plus M now that we have at our younger levels, at our elementary school and middle school levels, and outreach. I've been an advocate. I was on a work group with Governor Youngkin at the very beginning of my term. We need to have everyone in this room go visit our elementary schools and tell them what you do, because they can't dream to be what you are if they don't know it exists, right? So a lot more of that. We are already doing that tenfold, but I think money could be spent there. Regarding I've also been, I've got Mr. Lawhorn in the back who can attest to this. I've been looking to do a police force or a sheriff's boot camp or something in the summers or after school program for years. Still hope to work towards getting that done. And regarding CTE, absolutely would love to expand the tech center. The biggest complaint that I get every year is not enough room in the nursing and the hair programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Ms. Jones, where do you believe that Campbell County education dollars can best be spent to maximize outcomes?
Well, you know, the taxpayer is viewed from many perspectives as a flowing river, an endless flowing river of dollars, and that is not the taxpayers I know. So I would say that there's going to have to be reappropriation and better spending of the funds that are available for schooling at this point in time. Teacher salaries needs to be at the top of the list, Supervisor, because the job of the schools is to educate. If we can't attract into our area, yes, I know that there are close by areas where there are lower salaries, and oddly enough, there are better results coming from the public systems. But with regard to what we're dealing with here, the money's going to have to go to the teachers, and the reward is going to have to go to those teachers who are excellent, those teachers who do their jobs with excellence, as measured by the results that come out of their classrooms. Something else I wanted to say, and I forgot what it was. That'll do.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. We're going to go back to the Board of Supervisors, and we will start with Mr. Nixon. Mr. Nixon, how will you advance access to recreation in Campbell County?
Some of y'all may not know this. My father helped start the rec department many years ago with Don Atkins and several others. He was proud of the fact that the rec department was coming to Campbell County, and it could help be one of those infrastructures that invited the commercial growth that Mr. Worley has so greatly talked about. Rec department needs to be advanced through major restructuring, remarketing, and getting the word out. Getting those volunteers, getting those folks they used to hire. My wife used to teach dance for the rec department. Ron Reynolds is here today. He was aware of how my wife worked there and then was involved. He knew my father very well. I think the rec department's been ignored for too long. We've got to do a huge marketing program, fundraising program, parks program to get our rec department back on course so that it can be that infrastructure that is very inviting to those commercial folks and folks that want to live in Campbell County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. Mr. Worley, how will you advance access to recreation in Campbell County?
So first, we have to have a place to go. We do have some stuff, but I can't tell you how many people have told me, why don't we have a park in Rustburg? I mean, you have Timberlake, which is lovely. So how I would envision doing some of that is to build on things like Bark in the parks. When we bring these new businesses in, let's talk to them about, why don't you make a donation to do whatever this particular thing is? In other words, take the burden off the taxpayers to do it. If we can use that in some form or way in the negotiation phase of bringing these new businesses in, where they can invest in the community, well, it'll build community awareness about those businesses, it'll add the funds and money that we need to be able to do these things, and it'll also reduce the burden that the taxpayers have to be able to create these things on our own from the taxpayers' money when we're already struggling to take care of our core infrastructure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Worley. Mr. Hardy, to restate the question real quick, how will you advance access to recreation in Campbell County?
Yes, I think that access, a key partner with us is Campbell County Schools because, again, youth is part of it. We certainly need to have marketing campaigns that are robust, and I think that we do. We've got a good department that's working hard with a very limited staff. But ultimately, there are some things that do come down to dollars and dedication to dollars. And so if we're going to expand that, certainly business may have some partnership opportunities with our park spaces. And also private sports leagues can have partnerships with our recreation spaces and fields. We currently don't maximize those opportunities. But the board has had conversations about the transient occupancy tax increase, which is not a tax on our citizens or our people, it's on our visitors. And why would many visit? They may visit for recreational opportunities. Recreation can be a major economic development standpoint, and it should be. So we need to focus on growing that.
We're going to go back to the school board, and we'll start with Mr. Hartman. I'll start with the long version for you and then give everyone else the short version. So obviously, Virginia is a Dillon Rule state. We can't do anything that Richmond doesn't allow us to do first through legislation. If Richmond gave us the choice, what kind of position do you take removing the gun-free zone status of Campbell County schools so that trained teachers and staff can carry concealed and protect students from potential active shooter events?
That's a great question. As a pro 2A person myself and a gun owner of many guns and saves, as my wife would probably be a little bit annoyed about, that's great. When I was an SRO, we talked about that between deputies when we were having meal breaks and et cetera. That's a great idea. A pro having teachers, trained teachers, obviously there's stipulations, there's guidelines that we need to put in place for that. If that is something that we could do, that takes the burden off of all of the officers. It takes the burden off the question, I think 6 or 7 that we had about off-duty and the issues outside of school. But again, with every good thing, there needs to be good policies, there needs to be good training, there needs to be good stipulations, and I believe the sheriff's office needs to be the oversight for that. They're the masters of that craft. They're the ones that are going to be able to manage that. They manage their own deputies and their qualifications. There needs to be quals. There needs to be more extensive background. Obviously, we've seen there's employees that get by, and then they make some vile comments online, so we need to make sure that we have those policies, procedures, and standards in place.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hartman. Short version, Ms. Parker, are you in support of trained teachers and staff carrying concealed to protect our students?
First, can we get rid of the Dillon rule?
Yeah, first things first.
That would be fabulous. Everybody needs to look into that, and it's antiquated. So absolutely, I'm also Second Amendment. I actually didn't have a gun until realtors, which is what I do, started being attacked in open houses. So, but I do, I need to shoot more often. Justin's supposed to be helping me, and I keep forgetting to schedule appointments. But I would totally support it, and again, I echo Mr. Hartman. It would have to be major training. I'd have to have assurances that the gun is somewhere safe, especially in our high schools, where if 1 or 2 students or more were aware that that teacher was carrying, that they could very easily turn that into a worse situation than if he or she wasn't carrying. But I absolutely would love to look into that because I do support the Second Amendment in full.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Ms. Jones, what position do you have on allowing trained teachers to carry concealed?
I'll save you a minute here and just tell you I really appreciate Ryan's answer, and that is an unequivocal, absolutely yes. David?
Outstanding. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Phillips, same question?
Yes, I'm not opposed to additional firearms in schools, but as we've all mentioned, that's a slippery slope, so we'd really have to work with our Campbell County Sheriff's Department on how we implement that. I'm an advocate of Second Amendment. I've got too many guns, as my wife can contest to. Yeah, that's I commend our county resource officers. They do an outstanding job. As far as particular concealed carry, if you have a gun on a teacher, that could lead to, as some other folks have alluded to, more problems than we may want. So maybe gun availability in schools, but as far as a teacher walking around with a gun on their person, that is something we really have to take a close look at. So that's kind of a really, no pun intended, a loaded question, something I'm not opposed to, but we need to approach it with the Sheriff's Department very carefully.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phillips. So this concludes the question and answer portion of today's event. So thank you guys so much for coming out and being so transparent. We are going to go into the closing statements portion. As a reminder, you will be given 1.5 minutes for a closing statement. Our timekeeper will give you a 20-second warning and then the red card as your time expires. We started from the left and moved to the right on opening, so we're going to close in opposite and start with Ms. Parker and end with Mr. Hardy. Ms. Parker, 1.5 minutes, ma'am.
All right, thank you all. I have served faithfully and have worked extremely hard on the school board. I love absolutely every minute of it, and I hope that I earn the vote of the Timberlake District to serve another 4 years. I do want to say a couple things. I was hoping they were going to say what were your goals over the next 4 years if you're going to be elected or re-elected. I've been working on, and it's getting really close to having a school impact study be part of the development process so that the Board of Supervisors can start preparing financially for school growth or renovation so that we don't end up in a situation with a bunch of trailers in the middle of a football field. And I'm super excited to get that hopefully passed soon, as well as grow the SEAC with a member of the school board, which is the Special Education Advisory Council. I'd really like to see us break down our SPED programs, and this would be at the legislative level. I'd also like to see us be more proactive legislatively in Richmond and the federal government, and I am pleased that we have done legislative agendas starting last year and have communicated directly of what we support and what we would like them to not support. With regard to CTE quickly, one of our biggest holdups is licensure restrictions, that there are some laws and some regulations that need adjustment so that we can have easier access to tech center instructors.
Thank you very much, Ms. Parker. Mr. Hartman, 1.5 minutes, sir. Closing statements.
First off, thank you all for spending 2 hours out here with us on your Saturday. I really appreciate that. As I said at the beginning, I'm a husband, a devoted Christian, a father whose kids are currently in Campbell County Public Schools, and they will be there, as I said earlier, for 18 years. That's skin in the game for 18 years to serve your families, to serve your students, to serve these educators and the other citizens here in Campbell County. I'd be honored to work for you all, and I can assure you that as soon as the changing of the guard occurs in January, that I will start day one working for you all, being in the community, hearing what your needs are, being in those schools and being a present, visible person in those schools, working not just with our admin in our central office, but working for those educators, helping those educators to help your students. Your students will be a part of my family. I can assure you of that. I have, talking about CTE, Ms. Parker just reminded me, we have talked to some instructors, some fire instructors that are willing to corroborate here with Campbell County if we were able to get that done. So that plan's already in place, if we can get that done. Folks, central office takes care of things for the school. School board members are elected. I'm here to work for you, like I said. Thank you, and I appreciate your vote here in November.
Thank you, Mr. Hartman. Mr. Phillips, 1.5 minutes. Closing remarks.
So I mentioned earlier the big 6 areas of focus. To touch on those briefly. Number 1, safety is paramount in today's environment. Continue to support that. Providing quality schools and facilities. I talked about Rustburg Middle School, Brookville High School underway. Alta Vista, we're going to take a second look at that next down the road. Taking care of our teachers, our staff, staying competitive with wages. That's a tightrope. You don't want to get out of hand on the high end, but you want to definitely stay competitive with area counties and continue to try to do that and support them with training and so forth. Number 4, career educational opportunities. We've talked about CTE and STEM. Mr. Worley's mentioned bringing county businesses in. They're going to need employees, and we need to do a better job of working with our kids and establishing those pipelines to work with our area businesses. Number 5, keeping parents involved in our schools, being responsive to concerns, and being open to parents' opinions, coming to the meetings and so forth. A big advocate. They're a key to success in our school system. And again, number 6, just instilling those Campbell County values. I've lived in Rustburg for 54 years. I now have a granddaughter that's in the Brookneal area. She will likely be in Campbell County schools in the next 5 years. I care about this community greatly. I want to see it succeed and grow. I've been involved in Rustburg schools as a student, a parent, a spouse of a teacher, a school board member for my entire 54 years. You can count on me in a lifelong
Thank you much,
commitment
Mr.
to
Phillips.
to Campbell County schools to promote Rustburg schools going forward.
Ms. Jones, 1.5 minutes.
So Ann and I are the only 2 girls up here, and we were the only ones, I think, except for possibly John, who couldn't get all of our thoughts in the first 3 minutes. So I'm going to backtrack here and just tell you what you probably already know, and that's that 85% of the kids in this country are in public school. So that puts a heavy burden on the public schools when it comes to responsibility for what this culture is going to look like. We've got big problems in our culture today, not only nationally but statewide, and our schools have to be implicated in causative factors that have led us to where we are now. Back to something that's extremely important to me. Historically, education has been for character training. Now, that's not something we've been taught. Education has been for the purpose of character training. That goes back to the ancient Greeks, and it has continued through the centuries. But as of 1960, thereabouts, this country under the new leadership of a man named John Dewey, there have been other people, but that was cut out of our curriculum of teaching, and we went to a basis of just teaching knowledge. I think it was Cicero who made a comment that the most dangerous person you'll ever find is someone who has knowledge but is not virtuous. So that gap has got to be closed. My job up here this morning, as with everyone else, is to tell you who I am and what I really think. Your job is to decide what you think about what I think. If you think I'm suitable for a position I might be looking for.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. Time has expired.
I'm not done.
We will give everyone time to afterward to mingle with the crowd. But Mr. Worley, 1.5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. First, I want to thank the CCRC for hosting this event, Mr. Supervisor for doing the moderation, all the staff that volunteered to put this on, and thank you for coming out to hear us talk about all these important topics in our community. I want to take just a moment. Quick raise of hands from the audience and board members, everyone up here, if you have children or grandchildren or little nieces and nephews. Oh, that's a lot of you. I think we want to see them raised in our community. We want to see them thrive in our community. I don't do this for me. I do it for all of them. That's what I do it for. But we need to build a foundation where these young people are coming up through our school systems and they see opportunity right here in Campbell County to grow, raise their own families, and flourish. If we don't have jobs to keep them here, they're not going to stay here. They'll go somewhere else. And our county will continue to suffer for it. So that's why I do what I do. I hope I've earned your vote. And please don't forget to come out and vote starting September the 19th all the way through November the 4th. So thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Worley. Mr. Nixon?
Thank you, Matt. CCRC, thank you for putting this together. In closing, I've lived in Rustburg my whole life. My wife and I are residents here. 3 children went through Rustburg High School. I've got family that have taught in Rustburg, taught in Concord, had a mother that taught at Brookville High School for 34 years. I've been a youth pastor at New Chapel Baptist Church. I'm formerly part of the Fishers of Men National Tournament Trail, which is a Christian-run organization. My heart is with the youth and for our children and our future. I believe the county deserves a leader who's going to listen, lead with integrity, and put the families first. As a land surveyor and business owner, I've done that. Understand, when I employ people, it's not just that person working for me. I'm taking care of their extended family. I've had sleepless nights worrying about payroll, taxes. I've dealt with the recessions, the pandemic, survived it. I want to give back to Campbell County because Campbell County is given to me, and I believe I am situated to do that and help our county grow for the future. Stand up, Levi. My grandson deserves better. He's 10 years old, goes to Tomahawk. He deserves to be able to grow in a county that he can love and come back to and provide to and work with. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. Mr. Hardy, closing remarks, 1.5 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I will tell you that serving as your supervisor is the honor of a lifetime. It really is. It's something that I do wear on my heart quite literally. The crowd, my opponents, my peers may not know that. I wear over my heart not just the American flag, but there is an R for Rustburg. This is my community. It is the one I've poured into and that has poured into me. And it is always about the future generations, and that has been my life of service. And so, yes, the work is not finished. There's more to do. There's more to support, more to accomplish, and to provide for our future generations. And so I humbly ask for your vote. You know that I have a record of making sure that we have responsible tax rates, that we support law enforcement, that we support the Second Amendment, that we stop landfill expansion, that we support public safety, that we do all of these things, not for ourselves, but for the people. And with that, I'll say that that is a huge responsibility. It is extremely important to know who you're voting for and what you're getting. I have a record. I'll stand behind it, and you can expect it to continue in the future.
Thank
I
you very
humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hardy. That concludes our closing statements. I'm going to turn the microphone back over to the CCRC chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Klein. Just thank all of you again for coming out today. If any of you are interested in becoming a part of the Campbell County Republican Committee, we do have some forms in the back. You can look us up online. Our website is ccrc.gop. We're also on Facebook, Campbell GOP. We have been recording today's forum, and after our tech guy does all of his magic with editing and all that good stuff, we will be uploading it to our Facebook page, so you can look for that here in the coming days to be on our Facebook page. After we dismiss, if the candidates could stay up front for just a moment, I'd like to get a picture of all of you along with Supervisor Klein before you all take off. Hopefully the candidates will stay around a little bit if you want to talk some more with them. Again, we thank everybody for coming out today. If we can give one more round of applause to all of our candidates. Thank you. You're dismissed.